Hey there, it's Jason from Codemanship with another video diary entry. This morning I wanted to talk about a tip really for software developers. It's something that I absolutely swear by. A lot of software developers, well, let me give you an example of what can go wrong in software development. So on the Codemanship Codecraft course, on the third day, we do an exercise called Evil Fizzbuzz. And the group essentially challenged working together as a single team to build an integrated solution. So they're all given a little part of a problem and they have to work on their part. But then all those parts need to come together. And I say to them, you need to demonstrate this program working on this laptop. It's an old, fairly underpowered laptop. So they're asked to do that. In case you're wondering, they're asked to create a program that outputs a string of numbers from 1 to 100 with fizzes and buzzers and fizz buzzers all in the right place. And they have to demonstrate it working on that machine. And here's what goes wrong with 9 out of 10 of those groups. They get into it and they start talking about the problem and the design and the architecture and unit tests and what technology should we use. So let's say, for example, they decide they're going to do it on Node because they all know JavaScript, or most of them know JavaScript. And then they say, well, let's put it on GitHub. And then they say, well, we need to set up a continuous integration server. So they set up their CI server and all that wonderful stuff. Now, that's what I call working forwards. So they're working forward through a solution, what design, what technology stack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they get to about 45 minutes in. This is a 1-hour exercise, so they have to complete it within 1 hour. They get 45 minutes in, and then, and only then, do they start asking me about this laptop. What's on this laptop? Can we run Node on that laptop? Is Node on that laptop? Can we install it? What can we change, et cetera, et cetera. So they suddenly get interested in the end result near the end. Now, here's my tip. It works much better. The teams who succeed at Evil Fizzbuzz and generally succeed on real software development are the ones who start with the end result. They start at the outcome. In other words, demonstrating a working program on this machine, and then they work backwards directly from there. What kind of delivery process and platform do we need? What kind of design, what kind of technology stack will deliver that on here? So the best groups, the groups that do best at Evil Fizzbuzz, start by making a Hello World program run on here. So if it's Node, for example, they'll say, well, simplest thing we could do would be to write a batch script that does a git clone, so it gets the code from the repository. So we've got all the scripts. They've already established that Node is installed on here and the version they need is installed on here. So we can just run the program from the command line using the source code. So that'd be the simplest thing to do. But they start with that. So they build that Hello World. They demonstrate the whole delivery process, working backwards from having it work on here. And then they get to thinking about, okay, therefore, what kind of technology stack do we need? What kind of design would work best? And et cetera, et cetera. And then they've already created the delivery mechanism, if you like, and that's the most important thing. Now here, I'm not just talking about continuous delivery and delivery pipelines and all that stuff. Another great example is test-driven development. It's becoming very popular and it's a very successful practice when it's done well. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it turns your thinking around. Many of us sort of grew up writing solutions and then writing tests for our solutions. But when you flip that around and say, well, let's write the test first, it forces you to think about the outcome. Exactly what am I expecting it to do? And then you make it do it in the simplest way possible. So you're being directly driven by the outcome and working backwards from there. So it's another great example of being outcome driven, or what I call problem driven. You start by exactly precisely defining the problem you need to solve, and then work backwards to the simplest solution. And it works in all kinds of things. In, for example, the way that teams improve their practices, visualizing an end result, a testable end result. For example, if it's about software quality or about work-life balance or whatever it is, if you can clearly summon up a vision of what that looks like or what that will look like, and then work directly backwards from there, people tend to find that that works best. All too often when people are solution-driven, they work their way forwards to the outcome, they end up at the wrong outcome. There's a lot of teams out there that don't even know what the outcome is supposed to be, and that's a lot of fun in itself. So be problem driven, be outcome driven. Start with the outcome that you want. For example, we want to demonstrate a program running on here, and then work directly backwards from there. That's a pro tip from me. I swear by it, and I know many teams that do that very successfully, and I know many more teams that don't. But if you're one of those teams, I hope you will find this piece of advice useful. So you need to clearly visualize what's the outcome we're aiming for here and work backwards from the outcome, not forwards towards a solution. Be outcome driven, not solution driven, or be problem driven. Okay, there you go. There's my video diary for today. I hope you're keeping well. We live in very strange times. Stay safe. If you're enjoying what's on this channel and you want to see more, ring the notification bell or subscribe for news about the channel. Lots more to come.